Today on 90 Feet Away, we're joined by Justin Sherman, owner of JustinTime Baseball, ex-college baseball player, entrepreneur, and ambassador to MLB Play Ball. Stay tuned. This is going to be fun. Welcome back to 90 Feet Away. Today, we are joined by an incredible young man. I say young man because I've known him probably half of his life or close to it at this point. Started out like so many other guys in my life as one of my players. And this kid has turned himself into, a coach, an entrepreneur, an incredible community leader. He's involved in so many different programs, including MLB Play Ball. Today, we have the honor of being joined by none other than Justin Sherman from JustinTime Baseball. Justin, thanks for being here.
Eric, thank you very much for the kind words. And, I know we'll dive into it, but you've been such a huge influence on my life. It's an honor to be here. The podcast is fantastic.
Thank you so much. So I want to jump right in. Your story is a really interesting one for me, from so many different aspects, Justin. Obviously, because I have been involved kind of as, you call me a mentor. I don't see that all the time, but a mentor, an uncle, a coach, whatever. But we first met at Westchester Community College. I think it was your second year there at WCC. Let's start out telling the audience a little bit about who Justin Sherman is. Born and raised in New Rochelle, New York. What was your early baseball journey like?
So, played at New Rochelle High School here in Westchester, New York. Played for a great coach who we're both friends with, Coach Peter Annunziata, who's a real great friend of mine, mentor, just like you. I was really never the Division I Alabama first round draft pick kind of player. I got cut from my junior varsity baseball team at New Rochelle. Had to make a decision at that time whether if I was going to continue to even try out the following year for varsity, because at that point for JV, as you know better than anyone, a lot of the times it's either like you get off the sport or you get back on the horse. It's a decision you got to make. So I decided to do it, tried out for the varsity, busted it, was literally the last pick to make the varsity baseball team. Played there, went to Westchester as you being one of my coaches, and it was a great experience. Played there, scratched and clawed, and then went to Purchase College. That was a great experience, all part of the journey. And unfortunately, my head was a magnet to the wall, because my head was a magnet to a bat or to a wall, and I was like a punch-drunk hockey player, football, whatever, and just had lingering concussion problems, and my career unfortunately got cut short. But things have a way of, one door closes, another one opens. So I actually go ahead.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into that. I want to back up a little bit. One of the messages that I regularly have for young athletes is, when things get hard, we have two choices. We either fight and claw, or we quit. And since quitting is not who we are, figuring out what my deficits are to make me a better ball player, to get me to where I want to be, is what I have to figure out. When you got cut from JV, I don't even know if you could remember what went through your head, but what was the decision process to make you go to work and make you figure it out and start to put the work in to not only make the varsity team and then play at New Rochelle High School with some really good baseball players, and then be a college baseball player. We'll talk about the concussions later because that's a whole other conversation. But what was it? Who was it? Was it your dad? What was it? Coaches you had?
It's actually definitely, I do remember what happened when I got cut from the JV baseball team. I was in the parking lot at New Rochelle High School the day after, and I saw the JV coach in the parking lot. True story. And I said, you know what? My mom was picking me up. I wasn't driving at this time. I said, you know what? I'm just going to walk up to him. He probably thought I was going to punch him in the face or something. I said, I'm just going to walk up to him and ask him, like, what can I do to get better? Like, straight up, what can I do? And he really gave me some very generic answers, like, you got to hit more consistently. You got to, I don't even know, pitching wise, you got to be more consistent. And I thought about it. It was great. I pat myself on the back for going up to him and just doing that instead of walking away from him. And I would just see, and truly, some of these higher level high school baseball players, what they were doing. And really the secret was they were just doing more. I just felt to myself, I got to just do more, frankly. It wasn't a secret sauce. It wasn't a one instruction from one person. It was strictly just, I need to 10x my efforts. And that's really what I did. I just hit every day and just got more familiar with the bat, right? And more familiar with the actual skill development, and just taking it upon myself to just double my efforts. And that truly was the difference maker.
At this point, are you friends with a kid like Duran yet?
Yes. Yeah, still to this day, still play golf.
No. I know today, but I'm saying at this point, like JV to varsity.
Oh, yeah. Not really, actually. Not really.
So when did you guys start to, because people that don't know, Matt Duran was a third-round draft pick out of New Rochelle High School for the New York Yankees. And, as Coach Justin is talking about, they're still friends to this day. I just wondered, if you didn't have a brother to look up to or an uncle to look up to, who and how and where did you get those reps in, and who were you working with to be able to, go 10 times what your effort was? Because work is great, but if I don't know what I have to work on, if I'm doing the work but I'm doing it incorrectly, is that good?
Right. So I probably was not training properly. Now that I look at it, and playing college baseball with you, and now doing this professionally, coaching, etc., MLB, JustinTime, the way I look at it is I just try to outwork and in my mentality, my outworking would almost have, my body would almost autocorrect. That was my mentality in 10th grade. I just figured no matter what I'm doing, I just want to put the bat as many times on the baseball and get my mentality was I just want to get familiar with the barrel hitting the ball as often as possible. And I felt like at that moment, I really don't know what it was, other than I just knew I wasn't doing enough. So I said, if I'm going to do, in order to make it to the next level, high school baseball, et cetera, whatever it is, I got to do more. It wasn't really any particular person. I just kind of realized that at a young age, not naive, even just at a naive age.
No, which is great. I mean, it doesn't normally hit people that way at that age without having some sort of role model to look up to. Let's move on to Westchester. So can you remember any of our interactions as an 18-year-old ball player and what those may have been like? Because I can. So I want to see what your recollection of those may have been.
I have one that you don't know that my father still talks about you. He goes, we're at Giuliano's restaurant in New Rochelle. I believe I was a freshman at Westchester. And my dad's like, you got to meet this guy, Eric. I never told you this story, I don't think. But he said, you have to meet that guy, Eric. There's something about him that's special, swear to God. And I think we just kind of knew each other, but like you said, second year, that's when we really you took on the role not just of my coach, like as a mentor, relative, uncle. But to me, I think I speak for you, maybe not, was the day I was sick in Florida. And you were down there, and you were basically, I think you went to CVS and got me medicine that day. And like we just kind of, for one of those days, I think we kind of formed a bond. And it was as if like I barely really knew you, but it was as if like I was like your relative. That's a recollection I have.
That's interesting. Okay, so I'm going to give you the one only because, not that a trip to CVS wouldn't matter, because if you were sick, I would have wanted to take care of you. My first recollection of our interactions were you hitting a walk-off in Florida and trying to make you understand that that wasn't by accident, and teaching you to have more confidence in yourself as a ball player, yourself as a person, yourself as a human being, because of where you came from, that you belonged there. Do you remember that or no?
I do. I think it was a bases loaded, I believe, right? It was bases loaded, and it was single up the middle. It just got through, and the guy scored from third, I believe. I do remember that.
And we walked it off, and
yes.
It was the type of thing that, like, I felt like your body language before the at-bat wasn't great. Like I could smell nerves, right? I could like a shark smelling blood. I could smell that you were a little bit nervous. But then after that, kind of reiterating to you that you belong here. You fucking belong to be here, and this is what you do, and how you go up to the plate expecting to do great things. And that's kind of like, I think really my first memory of actually coaching Justin Sherman, trying to get you to believe in you.
I love it. Totally. And you did. You know, obviously you did. For sure. And it's always a constant journey to kind of pursue that, to pursue like, okay, to fill the gap, to fill your own potential. But I do remember that very well, actually.
So we go on and you do some great things at WCC, and you go to Purchase, and you know, you talk about your head being a wall magnet, a ball magnet. You had some really crazy, unfortunate concussions. I mean, some were actually playing baseball. I remember one time at Frozen Ropes, you were literally under a machine picking up baseballs and got up too quick, and you banged your head on the machine. And I think that may have been your third or fourth concussion at that point. I don't take credit for anybody or any person's individual journey. The one thing I will take credit for is forcing Justin Sherman out of his bedroom. You were living in darkness at the time because of the concussion.
Yes.
I was on you like a pain in the ass to come here and just get out of the bedroom a little at a time. Start with a birthday party. Do a couple of kids groups just to get you out of the house. For me, that was the happiest part for me, because once you started doing that, you got away from all the negative stuff with the concussions little by little. And I believe you haven't had issues since, correct?
Yes. Totally. You look, a lot of it's mental too. A lot of it's mental. So you got me on the horse. No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
It took, and again, this had nothing to do with coaching you as a baseball player. This was caring about you as a person and wanting to, you know, kind of like you said, get you on the horse, put a foot in your ass because you needed it to you know, start really getting back to who you are. So we get you back in here. You start working at Game On 13. You're running unbelievable clinics. You're running what we used to call the D League, a developmental program for young athletes to learn the game. We used to make it clinical with some baseball games. You coached some of the younger teams here so long ago that one of the players you coached here just committed to play at Vassar next year.
Crazy.
Right, Kieran McGrath was I think on one of the first teams that you coached here. You knew what you wanted to do. You knew what your calling was, and seeing you with the younger kids, it was like a no-brainer, Justin. It was like this was your calling. So you go from the D League, you're doing all kind of shit at the time. You're a DJ, you're doing trivia nights. You know, you have this great personality. People don't know that's what JustinTime was at first. It was JustinTime kind of enterprises because you were doing a whole bunch of stuff, weddings, bar mitzvahs, all kind of stuff.
That's right.
And then you decide to go out on your own, and as a pop-up bird, you know, time for you to fly, right? Kick you out of the nest, time for you to fly on your own. And you create this incredible company that you now have, specializing in kids from like 6 to 10, 7 to 10, right? The development of the game. Talk to the audience about how that started. How did you pick that niche and you know, where it was and where you are now?
And, you know, just to add to that, and I don't know if you would say it, you're humble. You've been so gracious on that transition, like just nothing but supportive, nothing but just a great mentor. I'm going to repeat it a lot on this podcast. Just really supportive and phenomenal. I'm lucky. So really it happened during COVID. And just like everything happened during COVID, things fall, things rot, things were born, things were closed out. But basically during COVID, I just through the JCC of Scarsdale, I built kind of a clientele by me where I grew up in New Rochelle. And during COVID, these parents would essentially, I actually started a virtual every day phys ed baseball class. So it was like I was charging basically nothing because I knew the kids needed it. We all needed it. It was like literally hockey with a broomstick and water bottles. It was baseball centric, but like, again, we would mix in like little soccer stuff, whatever. And then it caught on like wildfire. News 12 actually did a story on it. And then as the kind of virtual phase faded out, I would bring in just on that, I would bring in guest instructors such as a fencing instructor to teach fencing to the kids with a wiffle ball bat, or like literally a juggling coach, just to keep it creative, like a phys ed baseball class. It was phenomenal. Message of the day. I mean, obviously unprecedented times. But anyway, virtual faded out. Parents basically were like, listen, we need you to come to our backyard. It's enough of this. We'll space it out. I know you know this better than anyone in the world. You went through it too. But really what I saw is the ages were 4 to 9. It's really like that was the niche. It was just Justin Sherman in 2020. And I just saw, I mean, look, we do see older kids, but really, as you know, it's morphed. It's kind of evolved and morphed into like really narrowing that age of 4 to 10 and dominating with educational principles and like really focusing on the delivery of instruction, tonality. And now 4 or 5 years later, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead here, but 4 or 5 years later, it's 23 coaches and 2 other operation members, so 25 employees, and we're in little leagues across the county into Connecticut for ages 4 to 9 years old.
But you're not doing it enough justice, Justin. What it started out as these little cohorts in somebody's backyard, very small groups that would then lead to bigger groups. You were doing and still doing online coaching, right? And teaching Little League coaches how to coach, the proper way to coach. It went from these little groups to Little League teams and then Little League T-ball programs. So I don't know that you really did it enough justice by talking about that. And the resilience, right? People don't understand. For me, in 2024, we continue to do well, but my biggest challenge is getting phenomenal coaches to coach the kids. My litmus test has always been, as a father, if I would have been happy with this coach coaching my son, then you can work here. Or my daughter, then you can work here. If I wouldn't have been happy, then I can't. You can't fake love and passion. You just can't fake it. I talk about it all the time. I either love what I do and I'm passionate about helping kids and teaching them, or I'm just there for the paycheck, which never works out. For me, for you, I think, you talked about me being a mentor. I think at your age, what you've been able to create and build in such a short time is outstanding, which has led you to so many other things, including MLB play ball. How did that happen? Tell the audience kind of where that has brought you, how you got involved with the MLB, and what you're doing to help them grow the game.
First of all, appreciate it always. I was actually in the middle of a lesson, but I stepped out of the lesson and it was him. And he said, listen, Justin, we're really trying to grow and expand play ball. And I think you and I should have a conversation. Could you come to the commissioner's office next week? I said, yeah, I could definitely do that. So went down there. We had a 2-hour conversation. I don't even think I told you this off air. Had a 2-hour conversation, literally, not even about just where the game is, what they need at Major League Baseball in order to grow the fan base. And it was just a great conversation. It was him and his another gentleman. And I didn't think anything of it. It was a great conversation. Talked about a lot of the statistics and where they need help. And where they need the most help is the younger kids, for sure. Is really ages 5 to 9 to really make them interested in playing and go into areas that might not have the resources to, help to expand the game and get it going. Didn't think anything of it. Literally 3 months went by. I got a text in August and he goes, Justin, check your email. We're going to send you something. I said, okay, phenomenal. They gave me a contract. It's 14 months. And it's a 25 event play ball clinic event contract from October 2023 to this December 2024. We'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes. But
what are they like? Tell us, but tell the audience. I mean, I'm excited to hear about your contract, but what do you do? Like, tell us.
Yes. So
what did they want from you? There are underprivileged areas you go to, and you're trying to build the game. Tell the audience about that.
So we play ball. The initiative is essentially we're getting kids, as corny as I'm going to say it, the way like a commercial is, to get kids to play ball, and we'll go into areas, inner cities, underserved areas across the country. It was just Westchester, but now I'm going across the country now. To essentially go in and run these free clinics. They're a 90-minute clinic. Every kid gets a bat and ball set from Franklin. That's their sponsor. Every kid gets a bat and ball set. I like that concept because they can literally play, whether it's on concrete or wherever. It's accessible and it's easy to do. And then every kid, this is a great thing that really should be talked about more. I guess as an ambassador, I have an obligation to talk about it. Like, every kid gets MLB TV for free. So it essentially helps them gain their interest to watch the game. So that's a great catch as well. So the whole idea, retain the kids. We when each child registers or signs up, we have their information in MLB, and we're trying to just offer as many services as possible. And like you said, like underserved areas that might not have the resources to do it. Like we've been all over the country. It's been great, and yeah, that's really the goal, is to expand the game, to expand them to local playing.
I can't tell you, having grown up in the Bronx, in an area that was so incredibly lower middle class to middle class, baseball was the thing that kind of kept us all together. In 2024, one of the issues that I have personally, I'd love to hear your take on this, is the lack of baseball IQ. And for me, what MLB is doing by giving these kids that app is allowing them to go on and watch the game and learn the game and so on and so forth, because I truly don't feel, even if they do play the game, they're not watching the game the way we used to, the way I used to, for sure. When I grew up, there was no cable TV, Justin, if you can imagine that. So it was channel 2, 4, 5, 7, 9, 11. Right. It was the game of the week, and that was it, like Wide World of Sports, and that was it. But these kids, if they're not engaged, why would they watch baseball? Everybody knows who Elvin Soto is and Lindor and Judge. They know the names, but they don't watch the game. I think that's incredible that MLB, is doing that for these kids. There's no one better than you because, again, like I said, you can't fake love and passion of what you do. What you do, if you love it, becomes contagious. If you don't, or if kids have a bad coach, a lot of kids walk away from it. So I think MLB did a great job by hiring somebody like you who, again, not in any kind of creepy way. You've become like the Pied Piper of these younger kids, and I think it's a tremendous, tremendous place for you. For me, I want to talk about something else. I'm going to totally shift gears here because as a mentor, one of the things I wouldn't allow in your life, and I know I might have been a pain in the ass probably at times too much, I wouldn't allow you to not get your graduate degree and have that in your back pocket. For me, as the audience knows, I went to 2 years of school, got my associate's degree, and I quit. And for me, at almost 59 years old, it's probably the one thing in my life that I do regret. I do regret not finishing college, and I wouldn't let you not finish. How did you feel about that? Were you tight with me at the time? Were you upset?
No, I put it this way. I knew deep down that it was the right move, and it was one of the best moves of my life to do. I don't think I would have gotten a contract with MLB. I really don't, if I didn't have that degree, and not necessarily for the piece of paper, but truly the education. Like the way that when we do our professional developments at JustinTime Baseball for our staff, it's not about launch angle. It's about delivery of instruction and educational principles. So the master's was absolutely a necessity. Is it a necessity for everybody? No. But it was a great move, and I'm glad you were on my case about it because it was correct.
You talk about your message. How difficult is it for you in the 23 staff that you have to make them understand how important that part is from you, the owner? Here's why I asked that. What I talk to all my coaches about is Game on 13 is mine. It's me. It's my world. When you're not here, you're still representing me. I need to know who's out there and what they're saying and how they're dealing with people and adults and parents and players. What's that like for you?
Well, I think as an entrepreneur, and as you know, as I say always, you're my mentor and learning from you. I think truly it's leading by example. I don't think it even needs to be. It needs to be meaning like to almost pound my chest, yell. It's leading by example, and I actually think by like celebrating wins. That meaning celebrating wins of the intangibles within my company, meaning sharing a message about a coach that made a kid's day. You know, sugar's better than vinegar, in my opinion. And I think that's what really is helping us, and it's a constant gardening effort. Also, just a very high standard. I hold our coaches to a very high standard, but my standards are different than a lot of other companies. My standard is not how well you know how to teach catching a ground ball. It's your delivery, your energy. Because listen, someone that's 15 and looking to play Division 1 or Division 2, whatever, like they're going to you. I sent them to Game On 13. There's no one better. For the younger kids, my coaches, some of them barely played high school baseball, but they're great educators. They have a great tonality and a great delivery of instruction, which applies to any age.
Stop right there. Stop right there. That is such an important message. I want to stop and just talk about that for a second. You got cut from JV. You became a good college baseball player. Because you were not you, but because you were an outstanding college baseball player, because you got drafted, does that make you a good coach? Does that make you someone that is great with kids, that has an unbelievable... No. I want to hear your take.
No doubt about it. You know, I did a clinic. I'm gonna sound like and I don't want to sound like I'm bragging, but I actually did a clinic last year with Jenny Finch. That was pretty unbelievable. And she's an ambassador actually she's the softball ambassador for Major League Baseball. Jenny Finch is probably the greatest softball player, arguably, of all time. She has a great delivery of instruction. What makes her elite is not the fact that she's a legend softball player. It's her tonality, her delivery. Obviously, her being an Olympic legend gives her the tremendous credit. My point I'm trying to say is it definitely does not translate. There are definitely coaches that we all see in the world where they think they're too good because they played at a certain level and they can't teach an 8-year-old or whatever, and they feel like it's babysitting, which I understand some of it to a point, but it's all mentality. It 100% does not translate to being a great coach. Does not.
I want to walk you through. This is not Justin Sherman now. Justin Sherman is sending 2 instructors to go run a sandlot type game at a field. What's that day like for your coaches? What's that day like for the kids? I know I see a lot of it online, but for the people that don't know you, talk about some of the messages. Talk about, at some point, the Pokemon cards and the baseball cards and the reinforcement for, being a good teammate and good behavior. Can you talk about some of that?
Yes. So something we changed, and I don't know if this is off the topic, but something I really think I'm learning, and you're this way, and I don't think you're going to take offense to this way. I'm a control freak, and I feel like it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. People say don't be a control freak. I completely disagree. If you don't have your pulse on everything, it's not going to work. And that's why Game On is so successful, because your pulse is on it. It is Eric Holtz. Your pulse and energy and love and looking at every customer like they're your family member. That's why it's exploded. So every single coach, not one coach could walk on a field as of last year. Not one coach could walk on the field without professional development in-house from me. and from cultivation. I actually hired, speaking of the masters, I hired my old professor in physical education. She writes the curriculum for Scarsdale elementary schools for phys ed. And masters from Columbia in curriculum development. Brought her in, and it's all on delivery, tonality, how to speak to the kids, how to manage behavior. So I'm not just going to send some random person. They have to be trained in-house. They don't step on a field without being trained and really understanding what they're getting into. It's not just showing up, rolling out ground balls. They're getting into an educational youth development company, and I know I'm giving you a long answer here, but ultimately for a 2-person sandlot, they know because they've been trained on educational principles. And again, it's a constant gardening effort. It's not like once they're trained, that's it. But they have the basic understanding of what we're expecting here at JustinTime Baseball, how we deliver our instruction, how do we manage the practice and keep it efficient and keep the kids moving. We try to almost keep it down to a science, and it's a constant effort of trying to make it sharp as possible. But yeah.
And if a kid was just awful, like the worst player on the field, he's just absolutely awful, but he was a phenomenal teammate that day, that kid is rewarded, no?
Yeah, so something we talk about in our professional development is, and I say sugar is better than vinegar, right? We're not yelling in our company. We're rewarding the intangibles. We're not coming into, our company, yes, we're going to teach the skill development, pitching, hitting, basics. But ultimately, it's building their confidence and loving the game. So I say, be quick to praise. Be quick to praise. And specific praise, because kids could smell the nonsense, by the way.
Absolutely.
Right? Like they could see like, good job. How about like, great job finishing your swing. Great job hustling down to first base. Be specific. So, yes, baseball cards all day. Baseball cards. Give them out. I give hundreds of cards out to my coaches. Just hand them out. Positive vibes. Great hustle. You get a baseball card. It's rarely a baseball card for hitting a home run. Barely ever. It's about hard work, having a great attitude, being a great teammate, not giving up, perseverance. We give a perseverance award at the end. That's how, in my opinion, that's how you grow the game. That's how you do it.
So again, and then those kids are handed off to people like me. The older kids handed off to people like me. My job is not to get them into college. Yeah, I'm helping them figure out what's right for them. I'm trying to make these kids better people, better young adults, better adjusted for and ready for real life. When kids are throwing bats, throwing helmets, huffing and puffing, crying on the field, they don't know what pressure is, Justin. Pressure is my mortgage is due, my car payments due, my kids are sick, I don't have enough formula, I ran out of diapers, and I don't have enough money in my checking deposit to pay those. What do I do first? That's real pressure. What we're trying to do is teach these kids about those intangibles that are going to help them adjust to these things later on in life. So little I can tell you of what I do personally is about baseball, softball. Specific. Baseball, softball specific. Of course, I want them to excel at what they love. But learning to overcome adversity through sport and fun, to me, there's nothing better. And when you have great coaches and mentors that buy into your message, man, there's nothing better. There's just nothing better.
The way I look at it, and this is what we're trying to do here at JustinTime Baseball is, and I know you look for it in your coaches, which you have great coaches, it's attitude. It's attitude first. Like the baseball part's almost the easy part at JustinTime Baseball. I'm not expecting, I don't I'm not expecting you to know how to teach on a hit tracks or rap. So that's not what this company is. So much of the fact where this could be probably a whole nother conversation, but we don't even do travel teams. We stay away from travel teams, nothing against it, but we solely focus on the lane of getting them to love the game, teaching the intangibles, and then, like you said, handing them off to hand them off to you, which we do all the time.
So brings me to a great point. What is next for JustinTime Baseball? Where does JustinTime? So JustinTime from COVID in a very short time, went from one employee, you, to 20-some employees and all kind of outside contractors and helpers. Try and fast forward 4 to 5 years from now. Right? It may be hard to look at, but look what you've done in 4 to 5 years. What's next for you in JustinTime Baseball?
Well, I think I say an easy answer, but it's better than anyone. It's not easy. It's an entrepreneurship's a lonely road. I think it's the best road, but it's also not for everybody. I would like to see an expansion into the regional area, into the tri-state area. I have some potential plans to maybe expand maybe more into Jersey, Philadelphia, where we're going into these little leagues. Here's the JustinTime blueprint. This is how we grew it. And it's almost like an affiliation type program, almost like a Tiger Schulman's. That's kind of my mentality because I think it's a huge need. And the forgotten age bracket, as you know better than anyone, is 4 to 9. It's like babysitting, and it's not. It's just like you could say kindergarten. Like kindergarten, they're learning spelling, how to speak, basic math, reading, writing. Like this is the ground floor, and I think that's what's going to help grow the game. As corny as it sounds, like I'd love to see this as like a here you go package formula into some of these little leagues in the tri-state area. And who knows with MLB? I mean, that's another whole nother thing that I would actually want to expand as well. We'll see where that goes. But JustinTime, I see that expanding regionally potentially.
Well, I will tell you, as a mentor, uncle, I couldn't be more proud of not only what you've done, who you are. You've never strayed from who you are as a human being, who you are as a person, caring about everything you do. Obviously, I wish you nothing but the best for all your years to come. I will always be here for you. For any questions or anything, any conversation. We're overdue for dinner. I know that was my fault a couple weeks ago. But thank you for spending some time with us today and being part of the Game On, the 90 Feet Away, and my family.
Ditto. And, I appreciate our relationship, and there's no one better and no one that gets it more than you at the youth level. No one.
Thank you so much for being with us today on 90 Feet Away. And if you have any questions about anything to do, go to JustinTime Baseball. JustinTime Baseball, where you can find all different services specializing in youth 4 to 9-year-old kids. We'll see you next time.